Hello students, let's learn about plant life cycles and alteration of generations. In plants, both haploid and diploid cells can divide by mitosis. Now I hope you know what haploid is. Haploid are the n number of chromosomes and diploid cells means they have 2n number of chromosomes. So in plants, both haploid and diploid cells can divide by mitosis. This ability leads to the formation of different plant bodies, haploid and diploid. The haploid plant body produces gametes by mitosis. This plant body represents a gametophyte. So I want you all to remember one word. Though the word is not good, so I just want you to remember Haga, 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 which means Ha, which will refer as haploid, and Ga, it will denote the gametes, okay, or gametophyte. So the haploid plant body, they produces gametes by mitosis, and so this plant body, they represents a gametophyte, Haga, gametophyte which are haploid in nature. Following fertilization, the zygote also divides by mitosis to produce a diploid sporophytic plant body. So in this case, you can remember a word DISPO, DISPO. If you remember this, SPO will refer to as sporophyte and DI will represent diploid. So DISPO means diploid sporophytic plant body. Okay. So haploid spores are produced by this plant body by meiosis. These in turn divide by mitosis to form a haploid plant body once again. Thus, during the life cycle of any sexually reproducing plant, there is an alternation of generations between gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spore producing diploid sporophyte. However, different plant groups as well as individuals representing them, they differ in the following patterns. Let's see. So, sporophytic generation is represented only by the one-cell zygote. There are no free-living sporophytes. Meiosis in the zygote results in the formation of haploid spores. The haploid spores divide mitotically and form the gametophyte. The dominant photosynthetic phase in such plants is the free-living gametophyte. This kind of life cycle is termed as haplontic, as shown in figure A. Many algae such as volvox, spirogyra and some species of Chlamydomonas represents this pattern. On the other extreme is the type wherein the diploid sporophyte is the dominant photosynthetic independent phase of the plant. The gametophytic phase is represented by the single to few-celled haploid gametophyte. This kind of life cycle is termed as diplontic, the figure B. An algae fucus species represents this pattern. In addition, all seed-bearing plants, that means gymnosperms and angiosperms, they follow this pattern with some variations, wherein the gametophytic phase is few to multicelled. Bryophytes and pteridophytes interestingly exhibit an intermediate conditions, that is haplodiplontic. Both phases are multicellular, however they differ in their dominant phase. So algae and bryophytes, they show haplontic life cycle, whereas gymnosperms and angiosperms, they show diplontic life cycle. But bryophytes and pteridophytes, they have an intermediate condition, that is haplodiplontic. A dominant independent photosynthetic thalloid or erect phase is represented by a haploid gametophyte, and it alternates with the short-lived multicellular sporophyte totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte for its anchorage and nutrition. All bryophytes represents this pattern. The diploid sporophyte is represented by a dominant, independent, photosynthetic, vascular plant body. It alternates with multicellular saprophytic or autotrophic, independent but short-lived haploid gametophyte. Such a pattern is known as haplodiplontic life cycle. All pteridophytes exhibit this pattern as shown in figure 3.7c. Interestingly, while most algae genera are haplontic, some of them, such as Ictocarpus, Polysiphonia, kelps, they show haplodiplontic life cycle. Fucus and algae is diplontic. So kindly refer your NCERT book as well to understand it more precisely.